thanks so much for allowing us to come to your studio and have a chat together.
Cool.
Really appreciate it. Super nice to meet you and get a chance to hang out. I'm just wondering, like, you know, I'm trying to think of different ways to ask you questions because so many people have asked you so many questions and you're probably a little bit, you know, bored of it in a sense.
Yeah, well, I think that what's interesting about this is what usually I talk about my career and what I do, whereas this is more about how we are, I guess.
Yeah, in a sense. That being said, though, like, it's such a, you know, you're such an inspiration to so many people.
Thank you.
So it's important to kind of understand that a little bit before we dive into the other stuff. As a child, did you dream that, like, oh, someday I want to be like a huge star, you know? Was that like something you wanted to do from a kid?
No, when I was a kid, I wasn't really that into music as a kid. I mean, I played instruments, but it was more art was my thing. And then I think when I picked up, like, I wasn't a very popular kid at all. And I went to high school and picked up a guitar, and then suddenly I started, like, making friends, getting girlfriends, playing in bands, and kind of like having fun like that. And I kind of saw it as a, like, oh God, this is quite, and it made me feel good. And I just decided I wanted to do it as a job. I didn't expect I'd be where I am now, but I was kind of like, I think I want to play music as my job, and, like, I don't care if that's being, you know, I did like wedding band stuff for a while, and that you know, paid the rent and stuff, and like I essentially just wanted to play music as a job, and then it turned into this. It kind of like snowballed, and I'm like, at definitely some point in that trajectory, I started, like, aiming for things and working harder to get those things. But I think essentially it was just, yeah, being 11 and seeing Eric Clapton on TV and being like, that looks cool. But it wasn't like age 4 I was like, I want to be famous.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone that wants to be famous ends up being famous. And sometimes when they do, they're like, oh, this isn't as fun as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a natural progression. You were just like, I love making music. I'm just going to keep making music. And then at a certain point, once you realize, like, oh, I'm kind of good at this. Maybe I can do something.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, most things in the entertainment industry, I think, kind of happen. I think people always say it's luck, and I think luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So it's basically if you work hard enough to, like, better yourself and make you good, and the opportunity comes, you're good enough to be elevated to the next level. So I think, yeah, for me it was just, I just loved what I did, and I worked really hard at it because I loved what I did, and then suddenly an opportunity would come up and I could be good enough to take it by the horns and let it take me wherever.
And when you started to make those, like, you know, like you said, there was a certain point where you started to make goals and think, like, oh, you know, maybe I do want to, you know, be in a bigger stadium or whatever it is. What did it feel like when you actually, like, achieved that?
It sounds weird saying it, but you don't really feel anything, and that's what I think makes it so weird. You kind of get to Wembley, and because it's what you aim for, and then you get there and you finish it, and you're like, well, what do I do now? Like, it's a weird. You'd think it would be an aha, this is it, I've made it, oh my God, but it's such a weird feeling. It's like I think especially in this industry, no one's ever really satisfied. Like, even you don't learn anything from your achievements. You learn everything from your failures, and I think that there's, yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Like, I learned more playing in a room to one person in Exeter when no one came to my gig in 2009 than I did playing Wembley Stadium for 4 nights. It's a weird one.
Yeah, there's an interesting, you know, we were talking about Jim Carrey earlier, and it reminded me, it was like, Jim Carrey said something like he wishes everybody could be, like, super famous and have everything, so they realize, like, there's something more to life. That's not what life is all about. Yeah,
and I mean, for me, I had reached that point after tour, because I mean, it's quite heavily publicised, but the tour that I did was like, it had broken loads of milestones and achieved all these things. And I remember the last day of tour, we played in my hometown, like 40,000 people, and all my friends and family came down, and then it ended, and then the day afterwards, it was literally that moment of like, well, I know that's never going to happen again, and like I know you. Yeah, it's just a weird thing. So that's why when I watched that Jim Carrey thing, I took up painting for a month, because I was like, I should probably try and find something else to give me happiness than music, because music is it's a weird thing when you feel like you've achieved everything you can achieve. So yeah, I bought 30 canvases, and I painted a canvas a day for 30 days, and it was really fun.
How'd that feel? Like, just any specific style of painting that you do, or you just get in front of a canvas and just whatever happens, you go with it, or?
No, I guess it's kind of Jackson Pollocky. I bought house paint, and then I would just layer it up by flicking it, and I'll show you some of it. It's cool, but I just, you know what, I finished tour, and then I was like, I should probably have some time off from music and blah blah blah, and so I was like, I'm just not going to touch an instrument for a month. And then I kind of got 2 days into it, and I was like, fuck, like music is my hobby, and now I'm not doing my hobby, which means I'm not doing anything. I should find something else that I can do in life that brings me happiness, that isn't something that is my work, you know. So that's why I did painting, because there's only so many movies you can watch and packets of Monster Munch you can eat, you know.
Well, what is it? Monster what?
Monster Munch. I'll give you a packet. It's great.
Okay, cool.
It's really good.